Green economy, a solution to India's slowdown. If we want to develop socially, economically, politically, one popular mantra is go green and be green with environment friendly product, services and industry. If we want to serve the nation, let us serve in such a way that we will produce, we will do business, but at the same time we will see that the environment is protected properly, perfectly, without deterioration of any natural resources of the country. Therefore, it is the right time to face the challenge of European countries, the countries which are dominated in industrial business. We are here to show them a new way of importing our products and services which are green, which are eco-friendly and which are meant for pushing the India's product for better use of Europe and other countries. Well, with this, we are seriously thinking that what are those things we can put it as a green product, green economic product. Green economy means it is green economic activities. The green economic activities are those activities which are related to green products, green industry, green services, which is very important for keeping the pace with world economic development and preserve the world through these global warming problems. We are here to focus some issues related to green economic activity. Let us discuss on the component of green economy. According to Karl Buchert, who defines a green economy, its definition is based upon 6 important sectors. First important sector is renewable energy, second one is green building, third one is sustainable transport, the next one is water management and land management. Well, there is no doubt in it, if we in India having so many facilities which can push our renewable energy, let us go for it in spite of traditional method of producing and wasting so many resources for creation of energy. Well, green building concept. Green building concept is a concept which will help the environment friendly building structure, which will help us in investing low and getting all the air, all the facilities of repair, renewal, etc., etc. Similarly, the transportation system, sustainable transportation system. If we will go with eco-friendly transportation system, definitely it will help us, whether it is a cycling or water resource, use of proper water resource, transportation system. So, all those systems are which are latestly developed, that should be adopted. Then comes water management. Water management is one of the most important management, because you see, water for drinking purpose, water for agriculture purpose, water for industry, water for allied activities. We need water, 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 but thing is that if water is not properly managed, then we will be nowhere. Therefore, the water management is another important aspect which we have to consider. Then the last but not the least, land management. In land management, we have seen the way we are going for building construction, the way we are going for agriculture production, agriculture cultivation, the latest modality we have to we have to introduce, which are eco-friendly in nature. Basing on Karl definition, let us think and plan for India's green economy activity, which can be based on the sectors such as agriculture business, economy, eco-tourism, small and medium enterprise. These three sectors which you have chosen here, first sector is agriculture business. India's culture is agriculture. India's economy directly depends on agri-business and its growth. So, agri-business is one of the business which have direct impact on eco-friendly produce. Therefore, we should not work for the products which are produce eco-friendly environment and put green label on our agriculture produce. If we will put green labeling, the concept of green labeling is not new. In 1993, it started green labeling concept, and later on Europe dominated with this concept, that is green marketing concept. Green marketing means marketing of those products and services which are eco-friendly, environmental friendly. Therefore, entire agriculture produce which we produce, at least 10 to 20% we can produce such products which can be labeled as green label, and this product is directly meant for exports, and the producer, the agriculturist, the exporters will get use foreign exchange for the country and margin for their business. Therefore, agricultural products of India can be taken as one of the best green economic activity for the future development and to face the economic push-up. Second aspect after agriculture is so many tourism, the tourism sector which is very popular in the country. Let us focus on eco-tourism. For example, village tourism. Village tourism concept is a concept which will help the local people and their products and their services. So, those foreigners who try to see the culture of the country, who wants to see the real way of living the people, they will come, number one. Number two, all the tourists who are coming to the country for pilgrimage purpose, to visit temples, to visit so many places of worship, they can be taken into another way of attending, that is through creating a village tourism concept. Though they will be there in the big hotels, but we can bring them to local, let them stay there for entire day, let them see, let them enjoy, let them observe, then they will go back. So, this is what the small approach which can help the entire neglected village people's performance. They are ready to work, because the biggest problem is not unemployment, the biggest problem is employability. Well, we see that where we can make them employed, this is one of the important area which we can think. Then small is always beautiful. Small and medium enterprises will create quite less pollution if we will compare with large scale industrial unit. So, when we see many economy, many industrial revolution, the role of small and medium enterprises cannot be undermined, underestimated. So, the small and medium enterprises plays an important role for labor intensive industry and low investment capital industry. At the same time, it gives lesser pollution, it creates lesser pollution, and it will help the economy to overcome from the slowdown. Now, opportunities of green economy. It is the common interest of both developed and developing countries, because all have only one agenda, that let us protect the environment, let us develop our financial performance and have benefit, profit, margin. Both the things cannot go simultaneously. If you want to produce, pollution will come. So, there is a need for judicious mix of production and preservation of ecology, environment, etc. If this is done, if we able to make a proper mix and balance, then definitely it will serve the purpose of the European as well as other country, the developed as well as developing country. So, it is win-win theory. Then it creates partnership between policymakers and business community. A new concept we are developing, that is, let the business starts in green economic activity model. If we want to start a new business concept, which are new method of creating the product and distributing, definitely it will create a partnership between the policymakers and the business community. So, the producer producing the product continuously, what we will do? We will produce the product in different process, so that the product will be eco-friendly and we can label it as a green product. Automatically what will happen? The same man, machine, material, all these 5 M's are used, and the product are produced for local market, the products are separated for exports, export market, another group of product which are produced by using eco-friendly inputs and with least and zero waste, automatically that can be labeled as green label product. That product will have a big benefit to business community. So, entire policy makers will look forward to help them, and the business community will be happy to go hand in hand with the government and government policies. The third aspect what I want to say that it plays a crucial role to prioritize spending in sectors that can be simultaneously promote social, economic and environmental gains. So, this concept when we are going to introduce, it definitely it will help, and it will help in increase in spending, and which leads to social, economic and economic development, as well as the investment on eco-friendly product and services causes environmental gains. There are certain principles which are laid down, green economy principles. The green economy principles such as the earth integrity principle, every human has the duty to protect the earth and its ecosystem. Second principle is the polluter pays principle. This principle is something different. Here the polluters are responsible for the environment damage, so they have to be charged. The dignity principle, every human has the right to livelihood. The justice principle, it benefits the burden, and burden should be shared fairly among all stakeholders. The reliance principle, diversity are precondition for sustainability as well as quality of life. The governance principle, establishment of policies, rules and regulations requires a transparent and participatory process that includes all affected people. The planetary boundaries principle, humans are crossing planetary boundaries that define our safe planetary operating space. According to scientists, we have already crossed this limit for climate change, biodiversity loss and interface with the nitrogen cycle, and are heading towards the Earth's boundaries for ocean acidification, fresh water use, change in land use and interface with the phosphorus cycle. So, therefore, the challenges of green economy needs to be discussed now. First, a green policy at the macro level is defined by the author as a policy that balances between natural resource consumption and environmental protection while seeking to achieve social equity and raise the well-being of the society. In a simple terms, it is policy that has as its central objective a green economy with the ultimate goal of achieving sustainable development. Green economy relevant funding, this is another important principle. Green economy relevant funding is usually channeled through multilateral funds such as the climate investment funds, and which has started from 2015, the Green Climate Fund established under the UN framework, Convention on Climate Change. In addition, funds are increasingly channeled through bilateral channel and national environment climate change. Now, the problem arises that when the funds are taken, that should be properly used, and the use should be productive, and after the use the produce should be encashed. Automatically the repayment of these funds back is possible. So, there is a need to have the fund, there is a responsibility to pay back the fund. It should be taken extra care to pay back the funds timely and as per the principles laid by in the bilateral agreement. In addition to all those things, there are infrastructure projects which ensures that investment are compatible with long-term green economy objectives. New information that takes environmental accounting and statistics are very vital in this regard. Multilateral trade system, very popular. Technology innovation and transfer, technologies are innovated, technology will be bought, and after that the technology will be transferred. The technology comes and the technocrats should be trained properly to handle this. Then next third aspect is global intellectual property. Global intellectual property, this is very important before adopting the principles of bilateral, this is clearly mentioned. So, you have to take extra care that global intellectual property rights are being maintained. Next aspect is extent of private investment in the development of environmentally sound technologies. It should be encouraged, and it is being encouraged. So, let us see the downside risk of present growth system. Although economic development over the past 30 years has managed to lift millions of population out of poverty and expand the number of countries reaching middle income status, it has also been accompanied by wide array of negative environmental and social impacts which threaten to undermine or even reverse the economic development that has been achieved to date. Despite recent progress in poverty reduction, more than 2.2 billion people, that is 15%, live in multidimensional poverty, and about 842 million, 12% of population, suffer from chronic hunger. Moreover, achievement nearing this MDG hides the problem of gap in achievement in developing countries, large and least developed countries. Growing global and local ecological constraints are compounded by a combination of economic crisis, natural disasters, social conflicts and the anthropogenic activity caused global climate change and consequently scarcities of wealth in a finite world. So, all those things clearly says that there is a need to preserve environment, convert economy in green economy, help the produce eco-friendly product, promote services sector, adopt technology, get technocrats along with technology to make produce eco-friendly product and services, try to maintain the quality of product as well as services as per the level of acceptance as a green product, green label. Because if we will see, this is the population which are below the poverty line, this is the population who are hungry. At this juncture, we used to have one idea, produce more, and that causes produce is more, but still then the problem is acute. Let us think in another way, that let us produce quality, let us produce eco-friendly product and services, let us go green economy, let us think for green economic activities, and let us go for future economic activities in a different way. India's case, estimate shows that at least 40% of all violent conflicts in the world in the last 60 years have been linked to natural resources. Thus, India may also face similar situation in various parts of the country. Ecological services of forest, an important carbon sink, account for 7.3% of India's overall GDP. But it also accounts for 57% of GDP of the poor or the effective household. In a World Bank report, diagnostic assessment of select environmental challenges in India has given this information. The annual cost of environmental degradation in India is at about 3.75 trillion rupee, which is equivalent to 5.7% of GDP. India's remarkable growth record under liberalization, particularly in the last 10 years, has been ahead for the global curve. However, it has been clouded by a degrading environment and growing scarcity of natural resources. In a recent survey of 178 countries, India's environmental quality is far below all BRICS countries. China 118th, Brazil 77, Russia 73, and South Africa 72. Studies and estimates of economists find India's growth rate to be 2.53% lower than the report of GDP of 7-8%. When environmental factors and human well-being are taken into account. Secondly, according to another report given by WHO survey, it is across the G20 economies, 13 of the 20 most populated cities in India we have. Thirdly, India's poverty reduction programs and the economic growth compares poorly with that of the countries China and Brazil. During 1981 to 2001, the population living below the poverty line, it was $1.25 per person per day, which is benchmark, fell from 84% to 16% in China and from 17% to 8% in Brazil, while for India it was 60% to 42% in the period from 1981 to 2001. So, average economic growth rates were above 5% for India, while it was 10% in China. Brazil's case demonstrated that with stagnant of low growth rates during the same period, that is 81 to 2001, higher levels of poverty reduction was achievable primarily by lowering level of inequality. India's rate of poverty reduction 1.5% per year during the period 81 to 2001, which was lower than the Brazil or China. In India, in spite of so many progress on poverty reduction, almost 400 million people continued to live below the US dollar of 1.25 a day poverty line, the largest number of absolute poverty in any country. Therefore, we can see this, there is a need to correlate positively the green economy and green business activities in order to overcome from all economic ailments. Let us think in a different way so that we will approach the agri economy, we will approach the SMSC, we will make the service sector, we will use the various sectors in order to make these for 40%, around 40% of population to be a earner, and that will help us to maintain the environment, to maintain the green economic activity and to overcome from economic ailments, that is slow down economic ailments. The benefits in adoption of green economy. If you will see what are the benefits we are going to get, that is for first, for an environment sustainable future, India need value its natural resources and ecosystem services for better informed policy and decision making. Environmental sustainability is becoming a growing challenge along the India's projected growth, and thus a low emission, resource efficient greening and the economic strategies is needed. While it may come a slightly higher price tag for the economy, but it promises with decrease in carbon emission rates, poverty levels, greater local environment protection. So, in another World Bank report, it is estimated that with a minimal cost of 0.02% to 0.04%, the average annual GDP growth rate, India can make green growth a reality by putting in place of in place strategies to reduce environmental degradation. So, this green economy will have greater employment generation. It gives an ample opportunity for employment generation as we have discussed earlier. So, if that continues, then definitely it help in a greater way. The next one is sustainable consumption and production. This is another important benefit. In the era of global supply chains, negative externalities of production and consumption pattern in any one country can have effect on the biophysical and social environment in neighboring countries. The sustainable consumption and production with the fundamental objective to decouple economic growth from environmental degradation is one of the green economy strategy. To achieve these objectives of sustainability development, social, economic and environmental development, shifting of consumption without slowing down sustainability growth, shift savings on to sustainable production, investment for restoration of natural capital, long lasting infrastructure, stimulate jobs in new innovations and create new markets. SCP policy and actions are not anchored in coherent policy frameworks, hence it called a combination of supporting policies like procurement, economic instrument in areas of agriculture, water, energy, technological innovations and important lifestyle changes. This now proliferation of green economy versus international trade and international business. The interaction between trade and the transition to a greater economy is bidirectional. Sustainable trade can facilitate the transition to a green economy by fostering the exchange environmentally friendly goods and services, sound technologies, resource efficiency, employment and poverty eradication. It will provide further impetus to green investment and contribute to green international supply chain and well secure long term competitiveness in the multinational market dimensions of research and development and transfer of environmentally sound technologies thereby. Green economy and poverty reduction is positively correlated. If green economy and green economic activities develop, poverty reduction is guaranteed. Particularly when we will see that when there is a green reforms and in the way of water reservations, water management, energy management, transportation, infrastructural development and allied activities and services when we have which are eco-friendly, definitely there are chances to improve the poor health issues and it will help the eradication of poverty. So, we should not think that eco-friendly and green economy is confined to upper class and rich people. Well, it is helpful for poverty reduction. Millennium Development Goals 2000, the recent adopted the goals 2030 agenda for sustainable development goals, which is to improve upon the achievement of MDG and also outline 17 goals to wipe out poverty, reduction of inequality, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation, sustainable energy and sustainable consumption and production, etc. Green market have so many benefits. Globally, the market of water supply itself, sanitation and water efficiency is estimated to 500 around $253 billion business, and it is expected to grow $658 billion by 2020. It is estimate shows that US is 50 billion per year spending towards meeting the MDG. Then of having actually this will help them to go eco-friendly and to go to work ahead than that of other countries. The agriculture based on sustainable and agriculture practices, use of local resources and traditional knowledge does offer a real trade, and that will be a product or service which are definitely eco-friendly. Therefore, that will help the produce, the people who produce it, and that will help the poverty reduction opportunity for India as well as other developing countries. Therefore, while over the long term the unavailable business as usual approach in all sectors of production, particularly those heavily depends on the natural resources, is to discarded a significant green reform which can achieve, raise the income of the poor, raise the food security, strengthen the reliance to climate change and abatement of GHG's emission, etc. India needs to value its natural resources and ecosystem services to better inform policy and decision making. Green economy is therefore desirable for an environmentally sustainable future of India, a hotspot of unique biodiversity and ecosystem will help us. The following policies are suggested to put India in the green economy path to solve the existing and upcoming social, economic and environmental problems. First, we have to follow green economy in true spirit. India should ensure that the implementation and monitoring of green economy schemes are democratically controlled, transparent, and it should inclusive. Furthermore, the capacity of good governance affects the trustworthiness of a country and is thus an important factor influencing decisions concerning the access to financial support and international funds, achieving the necessary paradigm shift towards a sustainable development model through green economy measures will require active civil society's participation. Banks and financial institutions are required to extend their support for such environmental friendly projects, because it is a risk which should be partnered properly and placed in a joint venture method, because it needs a lot of inputs of funds as well as inputs of technology and allied activity. The next is change in transport mode. Whatever mode of transportation we have, if we tilt this transportation system of the country and through the efficiency gains depend by mixing between diesel and electrical traction and the fuel which are used generated out of power, electricity, etc. If these things is just diverted with new methods, it will help along in order to manage the dependency on the traditional transportation system, and it will help, it should be diverted for eco-friendly transportation system. The third one is fiscal incentive for alternative energy resources. In view of anticipation of rise in car fleet in India due to rising income of population, especially in middle class group, government can provide tax incentives for less with diesel, use of electrical cars are some of the possible solutions, but a cautious approach is needed as substantial increase in biofuel production and consequently increase in water and land use lead to increased water stress and anthropogenic interferences with phosphorus and nitrogen flows. Nuclear power is to be developed with caution against radioactive negatives. These are very important relatively for green economy. Fourth aspect is the intermediate measures in energy sector. India cannot attain full reliance on the renewable energy resources. The renewable energy sources in the short to medium run to meet its growing demand of fossil fuel. It has to make necessary improvement of import infrastructure. On the other hand, it has to make the necessary improvements through transfer of high-end technology and result-oriented research for technological development to make gradual transition towards green economy. Rapid mass transit system and alternative fuel like compressed natural gas CNG and biofuel are needed for transportation. Government can also directly invest in public transport and public transport infrastructure. Now, the fifth aspect is change in agriculture subsidy structure. The agriculture subsidies has benefited the wealthier farmers who avail these subsidies they confine to wealthier section only, whereas the large number of farmers are not able to avail the subsidy. Therefore, we have to make certain infrastructure related project instead of giving agriculture subsidy. Let us give subsidy to those eco-friendly produce, eco-friendly systems who are adopted. Let us invest on R&D instead of subsidy. There is a need to have a change in agriculture subsidy structure, which is very important. Then sustainable manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sectors, which in India we have a latest push up in Make in India to increase the share of manufacturing. It is around 15% and it is given a good picture and it has pushed some employment opportunity. These sectors needs to be further strengthened with sustainability measures, as it is responsible for use of major share of electricity, primary and other primary resource extraction. Therefore, we have to put some schemes for these sector who are newly entering in the industry. Then WTO provisions which has been laid down for trade of environmental goods is most needed and it should be seen thoroughly. The ongoing WTO negotiations can ensure prevention of arbitrary and unjustified discrimination or disguised restriction on international trade or unilateral actions on environmental goods and services. The eighth point related to new investment avenues of multinational financial institutions. Moreover, India has become member of two newly formed multinational financial institutions, New Development Bank NDB, that is BRICS, and Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank AIIB. In both of these banks, India has significant presence. It has planned to borrow more funds from these institutions mainly to meet its infrastructure gap. Therefore, it would be prudent for India with other stakeholders to include the green condition in sectors with high environmental impact to be developed with financial assistance from these institutions. Popularizing green marketing concept in India. Well, though the green marketing concept started since 1993 and the green label became a barrier for promoting export from third world country to Western and European countries. So, if the products as allied produce or services or the process of production, if it will go green, then automatically we can avail the green labeling with our product, which can push the exports. So, we have to see, we have to take extra precaution for making the produce is green produce, so that it will go for international market at quite higher rate, which will help the economy to come up. Last but not the least, being manufactured in sustainable we have to see the five R's: refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, rot, for going green. Well, green economy, a solution to India's slowdown, we can conclude that all economic activity which aims at profit, which aims at surplus, should do in an innovative way, doing the business, doing the entire transaction in a new way, with the help of green economy, in order to push, in order to produce, in order to promote the green product, the green services, which will help the entire globe and India to be environmental friendly country, and its resources will be preserved, and people of the country will live in peace and prosperities, because the green economy, the green economic activity is linked with professionalism, linked with the people's prosperity and peace. So, we have so many opportunity for interaction. We will give links. You are open to discuss, to share your information, and to take more information from us in order to work in a new environment, that is to push the economy to greater height for overall development of the country.